the danger when it comes to trading is that people go for a course and then they go into the markets and something really fundamental that they've missed or they're assuming, and it's going to be the difference between a failing trader and a successful trader.
Thank you so much for being here, man. It's a real pleasure to have you back with us.
It's a pleasure, man. Yeah, really looking forward to it. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
So we already went through the housekeeping rules. So not sure if you saw that we're planning to do open Q&A afterwards, and yeah, cool. Let everybody that's here get your questions ready, put them into the Q&A box, and Jason and I will go through them towards the end. But before we get started, just a little bit of an introduction here for our good friend Jason. Again, welcome to the show. This show aims to talk to professional traders from around the world to get into their heads, their mindsets, what they believe and why they believe what they believe. Jason is the co-founder of Tier 1 Trading, has put together such a wealth of coursework, not just of trading, but of building a business around your trading and entrepreneurship in general. And well, what a time to have Jason on the show too, because well, right now there's so many people that are looking for additional sources of income, and that's the world has kind of gravitated toward where entrepreneurship and trading can thrive. And we've got one of the right people to speak to about that on the show with us. So please take advantage of this time and get your questions ready. And man, what a blessing it is to talk to you and see you here in person.
Oh, mate, very kind introduction. I didn't even pay you to say any of those nice things. Yeah, we were meant to be out. We were meant to be out in Amsterdam, last month.
Yeah, we were. Unfortunately, the world had other plans.
Yeah, right.
But I think that kind of speaks to our business and what we do here, that we're just able to connect like this and bring so many people together. And while it's nice to be able to do things in person, like we're still able to see here, talk to one another. And like if this happened 20 years ago, like it would be a completely different story. But what a blessing to have this now.
Absolutely, pleasure.
So there's a lot of things that we need to get to in this. The main things that I was hoping to talk to you a bit about before we get into the Q&A was trading for a supplemental income versus a primary income. A lot of people are looking at trading now. Like some people have lost their jobs. They're looking to have another source of income. So figuring out, well, how do you get into it the right way, or is there a right way that you would, well, what would be your recommendation for that?
Yeah, right. So first of all, I mean, like when you've got no money, trying to go straight into a high speculation for a consistent income to feed your tummy is probably the worst thing you could potentially do. It's probably not what most people want to hear, but it's true. And if you've ever tried to learn to trade and you found it stressful, try feeding your family on trading when you've got no other backup plan or no other source of income. It's not wise. It's not going to end very well. So my advice is this: always build your savings first. Okay, have some living expenses in the bank. And if you have depleted your your kind of cash savings, that should be the first thing that you focus on replenishing. So that will immediately get you back to big time, longer term thinking, high level thinking, rather than being in a survival mindset. Second thing is, when you're thinking about learning to trade or you're going to trade full time, it pays to think about your trading as kind of the most higher risk and the most kind of speculative, that's going to require the most skill, the most time potentially, and the most kind of effort of in case, you know, in respect of having the eyes on the ball. And you know, are many people in that position to do that when they're desperate for money? Probably not. They haven't got the patience to build a solid system, build a foundation, and they go in and they're trying to immediately make returns. Right? The third thing is you need to understand that you're not going to make consistent returns on a monthly basis, month after month after month, right? Because there's no way of knowing, you know, you can't, with trading, you're not going to generate £500 a day or £200 a day or a set amount per day. It doesn't happen, right? So when you're trading, it pays to think about long term. So if you're thinking, well, I need this amount to live per month, well, you may not get that in consistent returns. What you might get is 3 months worth of income and then no income for 2 months, and then, you know, and then a little bit of income, and then a big load of income for a month, and then no income for 2 months. And that's kind of how trading works. You can't say I'm going to get this much money per month. So how can then, you know, if you then think you can, and then you go and start spending it, let's just say you have a big win and you have a good month and you go and spend it. Well, next month you might not get any money. So now all the money's gone and you can't eat. So, you know, lastly, I always say that if you're going live, it pays to do this. Prove to yourself that you've got a profitable system over a, you know, 6 to 12 month period. The longer, the better. Once you've got those returns and you've built up some equity in your trading account and you've got the performance there, you can look at that 12-month period and say, right, what's the profit? Then you can divide that by 12, okay, and get a kind of consistent average. And then you can consider taking, you know, half of that as profit, right? And then you're in the kind of ballpark of where you need to be, of, you know, comfortably saying, yes, I can take that consistent return and still grow my trading account without, you know, without going into a drawdown and damaging it and crippling my account completely. Is that fair to say, Michael? Would you say?
There was so much gold in that. I want to try to dissect a little bit of it. Starting out with the last part. So the expectation that people should have when they're coming into trading from starting on day one to, I've got a trading business that's going to generate something of relative consistency, and everybody's going to have a different answer, right? Like some people, they might learn this in a year, and they've got a system, and like that's you know, some people will have that. If your name happens to be Mike, it might take you 10 years to figure this game out, but eventually you get there. Like, oh, what do you feel is the average that people should expect? Like, oh, well, like,
okay.
Or is that not even
firstly,
a question?
You know, that's a really loaded question. First of all, it depends on your approach, right? One thing it pays to understand is, and I was talking about this earlier, actually, every really successful trader that I've met, and I've spent time on, you know, Wall Street prop firms, I've been around some really, really decent traders, and they all tell me that they pretty much trade the first system they ever learned. And I've heard this from Mike, I've heard it from Adam Grimes. And when I think about my system and much of the systems that I trade, it's one of the first things that I learned. But you seem to go round and round and round, and then you go back to something that you kind of gravitate towards, but it's a modified version of the first system you learned. So, and what that means is, no system, like no strategy that you pick off the shelf will work for you. If you can assume that and then fall in love with making it work and just assuming it's broken and then go, I'm going to get this thing profitable. I'm going to make it like getting an old car back on the road kind of thing. If if you can fall in love with making the system profitable, you then become a system developer. And once you're a system developer, that's when you're a business developer. That's when you're going to make profits in trading. And it's funny because all the successful traders I know, they basically went back to something that they learned that stuck with them really early on and then just made it work, even though they went away from it originally because they thought there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. So if you can approach it like that, great. That means you're going to have results. Where it plays into your kind of last thing about living on trading, if you're assuming a system's broke, you can't go, you've got some work to do, right? You can't just go and take one off the shelf. You know, you could have the most profitable system in the world that's traded really well by one trader, terribly by another trader. And that's really, it's very, very, it's very much down to your personality. And when I say personality, I mean, first of all, your lifestyle. So what your lifestyle looks like, you know, how much time can you dedicate to trading? When is the consistent time you can dedicate to trading? What session is that? What time frame is that? Second of all, how often do you like to be right? Are you okay with being wrong more than you're right? And then you're okay with that because you're getting a, you know, a 3-4 to 1 reward to risk? Or do you need to be right a little bit more than you're wrong and then settle for a lower reward to risk? And that's going to depend on your personality. And then once you know that, then you can take the system, test it and go, right, this doesn't really fit with my personality. So now I've got to make it fit with my personality. Therefore, I've got to tweak this, tweak that, retest, right? And then start trading it. So honestly, when I say like it's going to take a year, 18 months minimum to really get out the gate, that's genuinely, you know, what I believe.
And that's doing it full time, right? Like that's not just like, oh yeah, I'll do it for a half an hour on Thursday, and then maybe I'll do it a little bit over the weekend, and then we'll kind of see how it goes.
Yeah,
like,
I've kind of got a rule of thumb around anything that you whenever you start something that you want to do seriously, you geek out on it, don't you? And when you geek out on something, you build momentum and you progress pretty quickly. But to get to that momentum point, I think you need to spend around 20 hours a week minimum. Okay. Once you can hit 20 hours a week, I consider that to be full time. I think that is full time. I think 20 hours a week, you're really in the zone. You're hammering it. If you can dedicate 20 hours a week, you're going to build momentum. You're going to get encouraged because you're going to see results come in. You're going to make progress. You're not going to get discouraged and think, oh God, I'm not really enjoying this. And it's just like anything. You're geeking out, you're making progress, and you have to actually enjoy it to geek out in the first place.
Oh, 100%. And for some reason, when you said 20 hours a week, that like triggered in my head the kind of prep you would need to run a marathon. Not that you're running for 20 hours each week, but you're running about 20 miles to kind of start. Right. So like you're running a little bit like each day, like maybe 5, 10, or 5 miles on Monday, 5 miles on Tuesday, another 5 miles on Wednesday. Then you have a longer run on the weekend. And then like it kind of adds up to like 20, 40 miles like each week. It just kind of sparked that for a moment.
I believe 20 hours is the key. It's kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah, definitely. And then one of the things that you mentioned earlier too, about how you would be trading, you make a little bit of money, then you might go a month where you don't make anything, or maybe you lose. Then you have this big month where you gain a lot. That reminded me of my own journey, and those boom parts. There were times that I thought, man, I finally like nailed it. Like this, now I'm going. I turned the corner. Like that would be the phrase that I would tell myself. I turned the corner, and like that turning the corner always was a corner like off a cliff.
Absolutely, man. That's why I say like you need to have that contingency there. You need something behind you before you start, driving in the fast lane. And the way that I recommend. Actually, can I share my drawing thing?
Yeah. Do you have that ability, or do I need to click something?
Should do.
Oh yeah, here it says. Yeah, Jason started sharing. Let's see.
There we go. Can we see that?
Yep. You see a whiteboard.
Yeah, right. So the way that you need to think about this is, if this is the week, okay, and this is Monday, and this is Tuesday, and this is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when
All
you're
right.
trading, you might have days like this, okay, and then you might have days like this, and then you might have days like this, and then a nothing day, and then a day like this, right? And that goes on and on and on and on and on, right?
Mhm.
Now, on a monthly basis, if we've got all the months down here, you might have a January that looks like that. You might have a February that looks like that. You might have a March. You might have a April. You might have a May. You might have a June. You might have a July, right? And it goes on and on and on. And
Mhm.
when your year looks like that, that means that all you can do is focus on profit over time. Because look, with any other product, you'll have a product cost, and you're up here, you'll have the profit, and then down here, you'll have the overheads, and the whole thing is the unit cost. And every time you sell that thing, you are getting paid, and you know the profit and you know the overheads. With trading, it's not like that. It's profit over time, because you can have 3 months winning and then a month losing and so on. So what I mean by, just to kind of put this into perspective, is if you need to live off of a trading account, the best thing you can do is go and trade for 12 months without relying on trading income. Start to, look, let's just say your account starts here at A level. You can start
Mhm.
trading, and your equity curve might look like this, right? It might go sideways, it might go something like this. And then after a 12-month period, you can work out the mean growth of that and then say, right, divide that by 12, and I've got an amount, right? But if you're happy with that amount, and you say, right, I'm going to take 50% of that profit, say, maybe you take a little bit more, but 50% of the profit, I know my multiples of 12, I know roughly what I can take being conservative over the 12-month period. And then you start trading here, right? So once all this is in the bank, you've got that to fall back on as well. But you've also got that performance, the results, you've got the cash buffer, and then and then you can compare to last year to see if you're doing anything wrong, right, anything, if there's any patterns. And that's the much more sustainable way to trade, in my opinion. That works for me. That's exactly what I did.
Hmm. Did you start doing that out of the gate?
Yeah.
I mean, like with a solid plan, and that was your approach, and you had coaches and mentors
Oh
around
no,
you.
not straight away. I mean, when I realized that I could do it after spending a lot of money, wasting money, and following shiny objects and stuff, uh, I eventually took this approach. Yeah, but I never got into trading as a I don't want to say a dummy, but I wasn't one of these kind of, I wasn't a get rich quicker. Trading for me was the last part of my investment account. So speculation was the last piece in my puzzle. And when I decided to go into trading, it was a portion of my investment account that I dedicated into speculation. And that's when I blew loads of money, because I was like, what, I just couldn't get it. I thought it was easy. I thought it should be easier than it was. And then, 3 years, maybe 3.5 years later, I figured out that I needed to start from scratch.
Why
Um,
did you feel that it should be easy?
just because the way that it was being sold, and it was very kind of the when I got into it, it wasn't like now where there's tons and tons and tons of it. Like, there wasn't Instagram and all that stuff, but there was still kind of Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and I was just kind of, I don't know. I didn't know what to think. I was looking at poker, first of all, online poker, and then I was looking at options, and then it was just kind of, Forex market was just attractive to me because it was open. There was a lot of benefits to trading the Forex market over stocks, and I just gravitated towards that.
Hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree a lot. Like the noise now like is grown, but back when I first started too, like my first time that I traded, I think was 98 or 99, and yeah, like far less noise, but the quality of content coming at you was still like this kind of like selling a dream kind of
Mm.
thing, and that's what got through. And the books, even the good books, like the one that I base my trading off of, or most of my trading off of now, Bill O'Neill style, like that. And he had his own newspaper that didn't get through until a decade later.
I know, I know. There's some really good books. I mean, there is a really good book that sounds crap. It's called Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom by Van Tharp. And
Oh my
it's
God, I love
great.
that book.
You know, it's a great book. And, you know, to think of that title, you'd think that's probably a load of rubbish, but it's, you know, this guy's a doctor and it's really incredible.
Mm. Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
there's a
one of
lot
my
of noise
favorites.
now.
Hmm. Yeah. So now, what other mistakes are you seeing new traders make? Like, well, what can we help them avoid, especially like for the guy that's trying to start his or her new business in trading in this kind of environment?
Mistakes that I see people making are, oh God, there's so many. um, you know, just the first one has to be just not understanding your system, not testing, not doing any testing of any kind, and kind of having any idea of what to expect. So,
But why do you think people do that? Well, like they see, like they come on to say like, oh well, Jason does this. Clearly, it works, right? Why wouldn't I? Why do I need to go and do all that testing, right? Like he's already put in the work for me,
right,
right?
yeah,
Like is that the kind of attitude that you see? Like that, I know that's the kind of attitude that I had
yeah,
early on, and I
yeah.
paid the price. But
The purpose of testing goes way beyond making sure something is profitable. Although that is a massive factor, the biggest benefit of doing it is to ease your, you know, to control your mental state. Look, when you go and buy an automated system or a signal service or something like that, the person that developed that signal, behind that signal is a person that understands a system, okay, 100%. And they've probably tested it all, and they know the ins and outs, and they know the expectancy over time, and they know the biggest drawdown period, and the biggest losing streak, and the biggest winning streak, and they know the ins and outs of the system. All you know is a green buy and a red sell when it flags up and it goes ding. And look, if you was brand new and you came on, and let's just say that you've put, let's just say, for the sake of this, that you've got a nice wad of retirement, right? And you've put 100 grand into an account, and you've got 100 grand sitting in an account, and you decide to take this signal service, and it says buy, and you go, okay, buy, and it loses. And then the next one comes up and says buy, and you click buy and it loses. Right? Which is normal, by the way, for any system. And then another one comes up and it says buy it, and you buy it and it loses, right? So let's just say for 100 grand, you do 1% on each trade, you've just lost 3 grand. Do you think, without having any, you know, what do you think is going through your head at that point? It's not, oh, this is good. You know, it's something along the lines of, this does not work. Like, they have taken my money. You know, they have taken my money, because you don't have any understanding of what's going on anyway. And it's like, there's no way that you're going to take the next trade. You're going to pull your money out, and guess what happens on the fourth trade? It says buy, you don't trade it, it wins, right? And then over time it would win. The reason you don't take the fourth trade is because you don't understand what you do. You have no idea on the track record of that system. You don't know what's likely to happen next, right? So backtesting gives you all that. It gives you black and white data that says, this is how your system performs. You know, this is exactly how your system performs over the last 10 years, you know. And as traders, we never, ever know what's going to happen next, right? So the best thing we can possibly do is prepare mentally so that we're in the right state of mind to go forward into an unknown situation. And the only way we can do that is to have some backup to say, this is what it's usually like. That's it, right? And then it's about diving in, going into the live, you know, into the battlefield, and then having a way of controlling and managing, and contingencies and risk management and money management and all that kind of thing. So that's really all you can do as a trader. And if you haven't got that backup behind you, then God, what, you know, you better have some real big cojones.
Well,
Particularly if you're trading larger accounts.
absolutely, and you know, there some of a lot of the people that are coming to me too, that I've seen that are starting to get their feet wet in the market aren't just like, you know, people that are getting unemployed or that are losing money, it's the full spectrum of like service workers to like even doctors in some areas, right? Areas that are on lockdown, like say a dentist that can't open up their practice, and well,
yeah. No, I've had, you know, it really shows how little education, real education there is on trading, because I've had very intelligent people come to me and say, look, if I give you, you know, £500, what can I kind of expect? And when I tell them, you know, they're kind of like, what? I thought it'd be much more than that. You know, I thought you'd be able to kind of turn it into, you know, hundreds of thousands. And I'm like, no, like that's not realistic. You know, some
well, it
guy.
worked for Jack, right? He took those magic beans, planted them, and then overnight,
Yeah,
he's
look, if there's anyone listening that can double an account month on month, then I'll just give you all my money. Yeah, I'll just pack up now. But there's, you know, I get it a lot. You know, if I give you $200, can you trade my money? And I'm like, I'm not going to trade any money. And the first thing I say is, look, I think you've got unrealistic expectations. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm saying, look, it takes my personal performance, okay, based on my current structure, it take me just under 2 years to double an account, okay, going really well. So in just under 2 years, I'll give you $200 back. How's that? And he's like, no, it's got to be better than that. And I'm like, well, that's, yeah, that's it, man. I'm going to give you, you know, yeah, I'm going to give you $10 a month on average over those 2 years. And people are like, yeah, they got some crazy ideas about what it is.
you know, the Lambo money.
Man, it's the Lambo money's there, but you need to have realistic expectations about account size, performance, when you take returns, and when you withdraw money, and compounding, and all of that stuff.
Mm. Well, everybody in the audience, I want to ask you guys now, if you've got questions and you've been sitting on them, put them into that little Q&A box, and Jason and I will answer them straight away. Another thing that I wanted to ask you too, with all this going on, I know that we've spoken personally too about like how trading has changed or hasn't changed due to the virus and having family and things around it. Is that still the case? Because now it's not like dealing with an empty house. Now the whole family is there, kids are there, homeschooling is that changed anything with how you operate any of your businesses, trading or
not
otherwise?
really, because I've deliberately moved towards online leveraged income streams and businesses, and my trading's always been the same. No, it hasn't really affected me, to be honest. Like the only thing that has changed slightly for me is my self-development side. So I frequently go up to events in London and you know, surround myself with my circle of influence, if you like, and my network group, and haven't done that. But yeah, I mean, from a business standpoint, I've been loving it. You know, I've had so many opportunities, and you know, I'm really excited for what the rest of 2020 brings. Trading wise, you know, I at the beginning of the corona, at the beginning of this pandemic, I had my best trading day ever, you know, since I began trading, and that was good. Since then, you know, it's just been kind of back to normal. I haven't really had any, yeah, nothing stand out really. There's been a couple of quiet weeks, But other than that, just really normal. Investing, great. You know, that's been, I've been taking, I've been taking all the opportunities I can get. And family life, yeah, I think the wife could do with going out and seeing some family and socializing, but I'm happy just sat in here. I'm happy just cracking away.
Very nice.
What about you?
It's been a bit of a challenge with having my daughter home. She just turned 5. She has not been able to really see her friends at all, really, like just like between like her and a pane of glass, and that's been challenging on her. Like we've been living in that for about 3 months. And aside from that, though, it's been, I feel like we've been pretty well prepared as far as like having similar to you, an online business. My wife getting more involved in doing more with the business, and she's really been fantastic about like helping out with what I'm doing here, about taking care of Lily and being mom, sister, friend, teacher, all those things. And also I've actually been doing a lot more. Like I've seen growth in business as well, and the reason why is because so many people have been looking for that source of supplemental income or primary income, and trying to help people get started in the right way. And that's why I'm thrilled to have people like you on the show and other guests on too, because like you're giving the reality of what trading is, and not this perception of like, oh yeah, just buy the signal service, like
yeah, no, totally. You know, if you're really strapped for cash and you've lost your income, the best thing you can do is consider trading, right, for the future. I think everyone should learn to trade, because I think it's a phenomenal experience. It's a very deep self-discovery process, and you learn a lot about yourself trading, and you certainly learn who your friends are and all the rest of it, right? But the best thing you can do is focus on your income, your business income, right? And if you're trying to ride out, let's just say that you've lost your income in business. If you're trying to just ride it out and then get back to normal and hope everything's going to get back to normal, that's a bad strategy, because your business is broken. That's why you're in the situation. What you should consider is how you can adapt your business, how you can evolve your business, how you can, how this can never ever happen again. And normally it comes down to cash buffers again, right? Having savings, and also just the efficiency of systems, the efficiencies of products, like being able to digitally deliver your service that doesn't rely on 9 till 5 opening times, and really just focus on service. Like service will always win. If you can just provide value to people and just serve people, you're going to always have money. And the key to that is, it's kind of a catch-22, because the key to really serving people at a high level and being, providing extreme value to them and really caring for them and loving your clients is activating your creative and caring brain. And to do that, you really do have to have the savings. So that's why I say the replenishment of your savings should be the first priority. It should be a very high priority. But yeah, I kind of don't know where I was going with that. It's a bit of a tangent, but yeah, that's, it's good advice for anyone.
It kind of reminds me of that video that you posted earlier today that I shared out, where you're saying that, like you take a course, like you don't just take a course and then you're done. Like retake it and relearn it. Like I feel like there's so much in just what you said, and for this entire video, like I love going back and rewatching the interviews, because like I get to relearn and re-experience things too, and that's and this is going to be one of them. For sure.
Always, man. Always, yeah. The more you watch something, you'll always pick something up. And as I spoke about in the video, it's that deletion, distortion, and generalization in your brain. It's whenever you see something for the first time, it's kind of your brain's basically working against you. It's just saying, "Oh yeah, I already know that bit. I know that bit. I know that bit," and it's kind of filling in gaps and generalizing information and making stuff up so that you can just kind of get through the thing. When you watch it again, you'll take in bits of information that you didn't see before. When you read when you listen to a song, you'll hear words that you didn't hear before. And the danger when it comes to trading is that people go through a course and then they think that they know everything, and then they go into the markets and something really fundamental that they've missed or they're assuming is something actually quite vital. And it's going to be the difference between a failing trader and a successful trader. So it pays to just have a system in place where you go, have I watched this? Yes. Have I learned everything? Yes. Do a little test yourself on it. And when you're happy with that, then go on. And, lots of the time you'll realize that actually, no, I didn't quite get that. I'm not 100% with that bit. I better watch it again. And then you watch it again until you can tick all the boxes. Again, it's a plan for learning, right? It's who's checking the checker at the end of the day. It's like, because when you're learning a course, you're marking your own exam paper. So it's important that you go back and, you can mark it well.
I love that. That's brilliant. Like that's the soundbite for this. We've got a couple of questions coming in. First one says that I just got started about 5 months ago, have my 6 months plus expenses, as Jason says, and have been passively investing over the past year. I have read a few books, done the baby pips learning, emergence, tier 1 trading, and looking at the markets to put 2 and 2 together. What would you say is the next best step?
Okay, it's time to just focus on one thing, okay? Because if you learn baby pips, you're not putting 2 and 2 together, you're putting 1,000,001 things together. So be very careful with baby pips. It's a great resource center, but it's an encyclopedia. That's what baby pips is. And if you read an encyclopedia of trading, you're going to know everything about everything. And as you know, Mike, when you try and apply that to placing a trade, you're going to have conflicting trade decisions. You're going to have one signal telling you to buy, one signal telling you to sell, one indicator telling you to, and you're going to try and apply too much. You're going to go, well, actually, that system tells me that this is looking bearish. That one's telling me it's looking bullish. That one's telling me, and if you learn too much, you get paralysis by analysis. You'll be crippled from taking a trade, and you're actually doing yourself more damage than good. So my advice is to kind of let all that information just float, and then pick a strategy and go all in on it, and test it and know everything about it and keep it simple and try and get it profitable. That's it. If people just take a strategy, this is the best advice I can give. Pick a strategy, assume it's broken, make it profitable, test it, then trade it. Job done.
Bam.
Once you've made it profitable, you're done. You've become a trader. Once you can make a system profitable, you've done it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you kind of reminded me of how I started out. Well, when I first thought that I had nailed it, I had my rules, my buy rules and my sell rules. I had about 100 different buy rules and maybe about 50 or 60 different sell rules. And as soon as there would be one tick at the end of the day, I would be scanning through and being like, oh, well, there's this buy rule. All right. Uh-oh, there's also these sell rules. Well, what do I do? Exactly. And it was at that point that I knew that something major needed to change.
Yeah, exactly. Another great piece of advice is get around any trader that's kind of offering a over-the-shoulder service like a live room or something, because I found that helps. If you can just watch over the shoulder of someone, you get the realistic expectations. You see the realism. So it's like some days there's nothing going on, and then just by witnessing that, you can go, oh right, that's good, because I thought I was abnormal for not having any trading trades to go on, and it kind of calms you down a little bit. It kind of gives you that belief transference.
Right. It's kind of like a mentoring thing, kind of like how in the medical field, doctors go through residencies and internships, and trading is very similar in that regard,
Yeah,
or it
right.
should be.
And in the same way as when you're in when your person you're watching is in a trade, you've got the confidence to go, well, actually, they're not going to take their profits early, so I'm not going to take my profits early. And you kind of get that accountability as well. And it kind of helps you with your own trading. Or they're not moving their stops, so I'm not going to move my stops. I'm going to take the hit. And it just keeps you consistent, keeps you accountable.
Here's a question from Stacy. I've been interested in trading for about a year now and currently have all the time on my hands to really dedicate to learning how to trade the right way. I'm already working on my savings buffer and paying off debts. What would be the next step you would suggest for me to take on the trading path? Books, courses, demo trading? What do you think?
Yeah, right. As I say, I think everyone should learn to trade. I think it's great. I think it's a great skill to have, and it gives you it allows you to make better informed decisions. It makes you more objective. It makes you be able to understand how other people are thinking more. It allows you to be more of a master of risk. So it's a great thing to do. If you're looking to spend your time trading and you're going in and you can put 15, 20 hours a week into trading and you're going all in, you're going to have some good results if you can do that and if you can keep that up. So there's two types of people, right? There's the people that I found that were going straight into trading and kind of building this upside down pyramid where they were speculating first and putting all their chips into speculation. And of course, that's a recipe for disaster if you're just dabbling, if you're doing it part-time. The best, because if you're doing it part-time, what you're really trying to do is generate a supplementary income, but all you're going to find yourself doing is manually feeding a trading account that's losing money. If you are going all in, like many of our clients, there's a couple of them, they're just going full in on trading, right? There's a couple of young guys as well. They're going full in. That's what they're doing all day, every day. They've got no money, but they're going into learning to trade and they're really building a solid trading business. Now, at the end of that, they're going to have opportunities to get funded. They're going to be able to manage money. They're going to be able to go out to investors, and there's all those kind of opportunities will be there for them because they've built the track record. They've built the systems. They've got all of the data. They've got a pitch deck. They've got all of the kind of strategies to go and do those investment rounds and everything they need. And they're going to have no problem getting money. And then there's the third person who's going all in and has got money. That's very rare, okay? Because the person that's got a load of money to wedge a trading account from day one and got all the time to go and learn to trade, I don't come across too many of them. So it's normally one or the other. So if you're the first person, learn to trade, but focus on consistent results in your learning rather than thinking about, I've got to fund this account and go live. Just accept the process and take your time. If you're the second person that's going guns blazing, then you're in a great position. But yeah, I don't know what position you're in, but the step that I would take is pay off your debt, right? So I'm talking specifically to you now, Stacey. Build your buffer, pay off your debt. Don't wait to pay down debt before you start saving. Start saving now, get into the habit of saving and pay your debt down. Once the debt's gone, save up. Consider some lower risk investments. But when you're learning to trade, just take it easy. Like, learn the basics, don't rush the basics. Learn a strategy, test the strategy. If that doesn't really suit you, test another one, and then start, demo trading, and accept that it's going to take at least 12 months, that whole thing. Because here's the thing. If you accept it's 12 months and you set yourself kind of this little trading apprenticeship and you put it up on the calendar and you just say, right, I'm going to dedicate this entire next 12 months to learning to trade, what you're doing is you've removed any time-based pressure. So you're accepting the process, and you can really concentrate and focus on each step, and you can break it all down so it's not overwhelming, and you remove all the kind of overwhelm, and you break each section down into manageable steps and tasks, and you get through it, you get it done. So I'm not sure that answered your question, but there you go. It's late here.
I thought it was fantastic. Question about what is the difference between CFDs and spread betting?
Different. So in the UK, there is a law that if you've got what's called a spread betting account, which all that is just a name for an account, if you choose to have a spread betting account, you aren't liable to pay tax on profits, but there are limitations to that. Okay, so look, every person is a unique person by person case in terms of the tax man. If they choose to come after you and you're saying, well, I've got a spread betting account, and then they say, well, you're trading for 50 hours a week and you're stacking shelves in the supermarket for 3 hours a week, and you're trying to say that that's your main income and trading isn't, they're not going to have it. They're going to say, no, look, this is obvious that trading is your main income, and you can't, you know, we're going to tax you on it. And there's also limitations, like you can't have an account. You have to have a primary income source. You have to, I think that you can't go over about 100 grand in the account. And there's kind of all these kind of other sort of rules, but all it means is when you ring a broker up and you say, I'll have a spread betting account, it just puts you in that category that allows you to benefit from tax-free profits. Okay, a CFD account is just a normal trading account, contract for difference, where you know, you just declare all your taxes and you're really kind of treating it like a business.
Well, I have another question for you. Earlier on in this, you mentioned that trading is one of the best ways for self-discovery, and that you've learned quite a bit about yourself through trading. What have been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned about yourself?
Yeah, right. So one of the things that I learned early on was I like to be right more than I'm wrong.
Okay.
That was one of the kind of main obvious ones. And that kind of sounds really obvious, but actually it's not that obvious. And when you start playing around with systems and you think, oh, you know, I really wasn't okay with that, you start to see a pattern, and then you think, oh, I'd really like to be right more than I'm wrong, even if it's just a bit. So that was one of the main things. Loads and loads of other benefits. Okay, so understanding how people think. So as traders, you're constantly trying to refine an edge, and the edge is based on what other traders are likely to be thinking, right? So how the collective market mind are thinking. And that makes you, believe it or not, it makes you more understanding as a person. It makes you more understanding as a person. It rolled out into other areas of my life. So that was another thing. Another thing is it makes you more objective. So black or white, right? Ones and zeros, you can't have subjectivity in trading. So what that means is when you're so used to going, well, it has to be this or that, it can't be maybe. When you do that, you become more objective, and people know where they stand with you more, because the way that you talk, it's like, well, it's this or that, you know, or you're very straight speaking. Okay, so that's another great thing. Another thing is the risk side. So it's made me very, very comfortable with calculating risks, and I'm able to calculate risks on a very quick time frame. So I can weigh up the pros and cons of something very, very quickly, and I can see things for what it is. I can see the good and bad almost immediately in any situation, and trading's allowed me to do that as well. And I'd never, and finally, like, I just never get stressed. I can't remember the last time I was stressed. Like, I just don't, I feel like there's nothing that can annoy me. I really do. I'm so laid back, and I put that down to trading. And it's strange because when I was learning to trade, I was at like the height of stress. I was running a business and trying to learn to trade and trying to make it work. And then it was like the height of stress. And I was there for so long, I think that the stress level just raised and that became normal. And now I just can't, like, I can't get above that ceiling. It's like nothing can annoy me anymore.
You've been, it's like you pulled the rubber band so far that it's lost the
Yeah,
elasticity, and
yeah,
that's
right.
it. It's just, oh, man, I love it. So many great lessons in there. Yeah, so trading makes you a better person. So, well, what a great.
I truly believe that, right? And I also believe that you're a better person when you've got freedom of time, because you just act, but you just act differently, right? You're more. There's nothing going on there that's distracting you and pulling you towards something you don't want to do. So each day, you know, I'm very fortunate now to be able to get up and decide what I do every day and choose how I spend my day. And just by doing that allows you to earn even more income, because I wake up thinking, how can I serve people today? That's literally what I think. You know, I'm, aside from trading, I'm thinking about what businesses are out there that can be created to serve people and help people. And that doesn't come from when you're in a kind of survival mindset.
How does that work well with your planning? So, like, I've seen how you plan out your entire year,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And
That's gone to crap, by the way, this year.
Oh yeah.
Well, I haven't been able to go out. Yeah.
So then, waking up, you have the ability to do however you feel is going to create value, right? Like, so how does that play? Like, it kind of seems out like it's competing ideas where you have this plan, like whether it's for a year, 3 months, 1 month, a week, right?
Yep.
And so you wake up and it's like, all right, I've got this plan, I'm going to follow this plan, versus, all right, I woke up and I'm kind of feeling this, and I think I'll just gravitate towards this thing that just, that's kind of serendipity.
Yeah, right. So we have a system where we'll have ideas, and then I have a meeting with I've got a team, and every meeting we bring up all the ideas and we kind of prioritize what's important. And that's kind of based on a few metrics, few different things that we go through on the meeting. And if something shifts across the priority, then that goes to the top, and then I start working on that. And that kind of works for us. So I have big goals. I try and hit one big goal a quarter, and then other things that come along, I'll work into those quarters. But I don't. This is the thing, right? When you become, the more free you become, the more you want to do. It's as simple as that. You have to realize that. Yeah. You're never ever, the more of a void you create, the more you're going to want to fill that void. And having meaning and being fulfilled is a massive void if you're just trading all day, because you're not serving anyone. And, you know, although you might go and serve your family and what have you, you're not really, for most people, you're not really truly serving people. So I know that's really hard for people to understand, because most people that want to get into trading, all they're thinking about is they just want to get away from that job. And I can't imagine why anyone would want to work again, right? Believe me, when you do finally when you have a bit more time, you're not going to want to stay in that position forever. You're going to want to seek getting your hands dirty again. It's just the way that we work. We want to do something that we love doing. We want to be rewarded for it, but we also want to have meaning. We want to be fulfilled in what we're doing. And if you think about it, if you're just trading, you're being rewarded and you're doing something that you like doing, but this is gone. So the longer that's gone for, the more you're yearning for it, and then you're just going to want to bring it back. So I find myself, but the difference is this: when you're free and away from the thing that you don't like doing, the job that you don't like doing, you choose how you spend your days. So you sit there and think, I really love to do that. You know, I'd really love to do that. And then you start doing it, and then you find opportunities in it, and then you see other people that like doing it, and then you see partnerships, and then all of a sudden you've filled your day again, and you're really, really busy again. And you know, so going back to the question of how do you get it all done, believe it or not, I work a lot. You know, I work a lot. So there you go.
Yeah, well, what time is it in the UK right now?
Yeah, I'm normally in bed now. It's 10 o'clock.
Oh, geez. Yes, see, so you do work all the time, all hours of the night. I really appreciate you being here and spending some time with us. I don't want to keep you too much longer. We still got more questions coming in. You tell me, like, I want to be respectful of your time as well. Like, you're normally in bed by now. I want you to have
I got a few minutes.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for that. Here's a question. How do you prevent yourself from being stressed? And how do you obtain a calm and collected mind that will help you overcome trading challenges and obstacles? Those questions are for both of us. Okay.
Okay. I'll give you my 10 cents.
All right.
First of all, I take accountability for everything, and I assume that everything's my fault. So every situation that I'm in is my fault, and I fully appreciate that I'm in charge of deciding how I respond or react to any situation. So if someone, you know, if someone's angry at me, then, you know, it's my fault. If someone's shouting at me, it's my fault. If you're running a business and one of your staff members really messes up, it's your fault. And if you can accept that, you're going to have a very, very neutral, poised and balanced outlook and dealing with situations. Also, I would say that, you know, expecting things you have to understand that everyone's got their own agenda, and what you love doing and what you're aiming for isn't what everyone else is going for and aiming for. So people can have their opinions and people can disagree with you, and you should just expect that to happen. And once you can get your mind in that kind of, in that thought process, you have to understand that the market, if you're looking at trading, the market does what it wants. Like, it doesn't care about you. And every mistake you make in trading is your fault. And, even more so, right? So there's two sides of business. There's a service business where you're providing value and you're taking money, and then there's a zero-sum business, which is trading, where you're beating people with a skill. Okay, the thing with trading is it's very like there's no hiding from the fact that everything's your fault. You haven't got a shop front or a geographical location or staff messing around stealing money, or, you know, a market crashing and, you know, a trend changing and all this kind of stuff. In the market, everything is your fault. Everything's your fault. So the quicker you can kind of accept that everything's your fault and accept responsibility for every action that you take and how you respond to everything, then you're going to, the quicker you're going to move forward and, you know, and be thankful for everything that happens rather than beating yourself up over it.
I love that. The way that I handle the stress and the keeping calm is like nothing happens by accident. I think that most people, most traders, that one of the biggest problems for them is that they're waiting for calm to come. I think that we can create whatever emotion we want as in that moment. Like, well, we could make ourselves happy like that. We could make ourselves upset like that. And it's up to us to understand that whatever is coming over us right now is well, we could either choose to fall into that, or we could just see like, all right, there's some gray clouds, and beyond those gray clouds, I know that there is clear blue skies. Now, how does that happen? For me, it starts with the preparation. The way that I start my day, I start my days with meditation before I start my trading. I'll start my training with listening to upbeat music. For those of you that have been to some of these webinars that I've been putting on, we'll start out with Pitbull. I love that new song that he has out, I Believe. It's amazing. If you haven't listened to that, go check it out. So like getting yourself like upbeat, moving around, dancing, like just having strong positive energy. Then meditating for 2 minutes, and I'll do this for every hour of the trading day, where like I'm getting myself upbeat. Then I'll meditate for 2 minutes. It's a release meditation. It's a technique that this guy Brendan Burchard came up with. If you don't know who he is, go check out his YouTube. But it's just closing your eyes, repeating the word release to yourself, and you're releasing tension from your mind, from your body, thoughts that pop in, you let those go. And then the timer goes off thing, and then it's like, all right, time to refocus on the A game, right? Well, what's my trading A game? And so that in itself takes some preparation to understand what your A game looks like. So you need to understand what your trading plans are, what your rules are, what you have actually works and is viable, because you can only act on your beliefs. And if you don't believe in this thing that it's actually going to work, and it's not the hopeful wishing like, I believe it's going to work. No, it's from everything that Jason spoke about, where you've done all this back testing and you have evidence that this works. All right, so my A game is I'm focusing on executing this plan that I know works. And then it's not just saying to yourself, well, I need to act on my A game. It's about, Mike, who needs you on your A game? Well, my family needs me on my A game. And well, why do they need you on your A game? Well, because trading pays for the roof over our head. And if we don't, we're calling up Jason and we're going to move in with him. Like, so I better damn well be on my A game. And so like, that's giving me the motivation. I'm focused. I'm upbeat. I'm positive. I have better energy. And that's how I stay calm. It's not letting the calm just happen. It's preparing for it and making it happen. And when we are positive and upbeat and we have more energy, it's a lot easier to stay calm.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. So, man, like now questions are coming in. Like, guys, like you waited until Jason's past his bedtime, and yeah, how many of these shall we take?
Yeah, let's get a couple.
All right. Question from Javelin. Hope I said your name right. How does one develop a strategy? What are the key points for a strategy? Can you give an example?
Strategy. Okay, so first of all, you have to understand all the trading strategy is a series of events that happen frequently in the market, which is a pattern that plays out time, enough to give you an opportunity, a frequent opportunity. And once you start realizing that there's certain opportunities that play out quite frequently, your job is to then try and capitalize on a move that happens frequently. Okay, so look, if you notice that every time the market does this, you see a little pop, and that seems to happen at about 3 o'clock every day or every other day, and you go, all right, there's this kind of flag breakout or something like that, and you start seeing that time and time again. Your job is just to be able to get consistent profits out of the move. So it's not about being greedy. It's not about shooting for the moon. It's about going, I just want to catch that little move time and time again. And although sometimes it loses, more often than not, it wins. So I just want to build some rules around that are going to allow me to minimize my risk and maximize my reward, but not be too greedy. And I want to get in and out as quickly as possible. So that's really what a trading system is. And it's a situational specific series of events. Okay. Now, in order to make that profitable, it can't have any subjectivity. So I always liken it to, you have to be able to then go and explain it to a child, like board game instructions, right? It's like getting Monopoly out every Christmas and everyone's arguing over over the rules at some point, because no one really knows the rules to that game. But when you get the thing out the box, there's no argument. It's like black and white, and you read it and it's like, well, look, it says that. So, oh yeah, there's no argument. And your trade plan has to be a plan that's been written like code, like ones and zeros. So there's no subjectivity as to how you trade this system. And a great thing to do, a great exercise to do, is to try and do that. Try and write out exact step by step what the thing must do to produce a profit, and then give it to someone. Say, read that. Could you look at this chart and trade that? And kids are great for it. You know, they'll pull up every single error. They'll ask you questions where it's like, oh, I didn't even think of that, you know, and I better add that in. And if someone starts going, yeah, but what about this? What about that? What do I do in this situation? You've got a deficiency in your trade plan. So, yeah, I don't know if I've answered your question or not now.
That might point to one of the benefits of having to learn trading during this lockdown environment. Have your kids go through your trading plan and ask questions.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Don't outsource testing, though, because that defeats the object.
Question from Naveen. What to do if you don't have time to prepare for a trade before you start? I'm a part-time trader and learning.
If you don't have time to prepare for a trade before you start, one, you're trading, you know, you're trading the wrong time frames, or, you know, you've built a system that doesn't suit your lifestyle. Second of all, if you find yourself in that situation, that's a mistake. It's a bad trade. You should be prepared. Preparation and rituals and habit and routine, that's all part of your trade plan. And so the strategy is one piece of a trade plan. The other parts of a trade plan are risk management, money management, emergency procedures, what you do when the broadband goes, the power goes, your broker's phone number, your direct dials, you kind of, what you do in this situation. What do you do if you've had a death in the family, or a row or an argument with your family member? You're producing a plan that you put a lot of work into to produce this plan that then tells you what you've got to do. So you remove all of your emotional, your decision making. So you produce monopoly instructions to tell you what to do every day. And that is it. And then your job is to read it and go, right, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. And that's telling you what to do. Your trade plan is deciding what a good trade is, and not you, because your hormones change on a day-to-day basis. Your mood changes on a day-to-day basis. So you need something to go, look, you got to stick to this, bit like a business policy. Every business has a policy, a business plan that if you stick to it, you produce a profit over time. McDonald's, there's a story about McDonald's. One of my friends used to work in McDonald's when he was a kid in Australia. And you know, McDonald's for systems, right? They're like the most, you know, they're the most systemized business, one of the most systemized businesses in the world. And they would train the staff to put ketchup and then mustard, okay, and then the patty. And then if they caught someone putting mustard then ketchup, they would give them a warning. And it's not because it tastes better or worse, but it's just a system that works. And they know that people go to McDonald's because they just trust it. They know what they're going to get. Even the food isn't great for you, but you know what you're going to get, and that builds a level of trust. And the reason they've got that is because the system works. And if you break the system or jeopardize the system, you could jeopardize, you know, it could have a snowball effect. So a plan like that will dictate why your business is profitable and how, and your trade plan is exactly the same.
Damn, man, that's freaking gold. It's seriously, like I can't, like that was incredible. Incredible
Amazing.
answer. Thank you for that.
No worries. I'm glad I hope people are getting value.
Yeah, the chat box was blowing up a few moments ago throughout all this. Here's somebody else commenting that, yeah, like everybody's loving this. I'm loving this. Everybody that's going to watch this later on loves this. And man, you're just a fountain of knowledge, and we're so blessed to have had you for this talk, man.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Always is. Yeah, always is. Anytime.
All right. With that, I think I'll let you go get some rest.
Thank you.
Really look forward to talking to you, and yeah, hopefully things will get sorted out, and we'll be able to do this in Amsterdam later in the year.
Yeah, we're going to find out hopefully tomorrow about the whole Amsterdam thing for October, because it's still, you know, it's still looking a bit sketchy even now. But we'll be finding out tomorrow from my events coordinator. So I'll let you know as soon as I know.
All right, man.
All right, been a pleasure.
Thanks again for everything.
Take care, guys.
See ya. And thank you, everybody, for joining us.